Welcome back to the Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kai Montigny, and I couldn't be more excited to have you with us today. We got an incredible episode lined up, so buckle in. Join us is none other than Alex Bentley, a dynamic Middle Eastern American actor and producer with a story that's inspiring as it's unique. Born in a sunny San Diego and raised in the Middle East, Alex journeys in the spotlight is anything but ordinary. Before gracing our screens, he was chasing a professional baseball career, playing semi-pro in Mexico in era, but fate had other plans. While playing college baseball in San Diego, he scored his first role playing a Padres player on Fox's pitch. That moment marked his unexpected but powerful pivot from the diamond to the screen. Since then, Alex has led projects like Beckman alongside Bridgeton, Sharbino, and Billy Baldwin, Pam and Tommy with Sebastian Stan, Tell It Like a Woman opposite Jennifer Hudson, and 80 for Brady with legends like Jane Fonda and Sally Field. Alex, welcome to Talk of Fame. I'm so glad to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So originally, before you became an actor, you became a baseball player, and a lot of people know you from being in the Banana Land Firefighters right now. But what first sparked your love for the game?
Ooh, I can think back as far as I can think back, I've always had this bizarre love of baseball. Even as a toddler running around in our cul-de-sac in La Mesa, I just gravitated towards the sport. I mean, my mom's Middle Eastern and my dad was a boxer and a football player, so none of it made sense to any of us ever. But even as a 4 or 5 year old, I could just sit next to the radio for 3 hours and listen to Ted Leitner and Jerry Coleman call a Padres game on the radio. And from growing up, little league, travel ball, eating, sleeping baseball cards, drawing lineups as a kid. You know, it's funny for me. It wasn't just a love of the game and a love of playing the sport and always having a more developed mental side of the sport. You know, I would, as a shortstop, look to pick off the runner at third base when he rounded the bag in little league, when most guys didn't learn stuff like that till closer to high school. I just had a more developed understanding of the game from a young age, which I think may have made me feel more intellectually superior. Who knows? It got me attention as a kid because I was good at it, and I think subconsciously that may have been part of the connection for me as a child, which developed my love for the game. But that's just me psychoanalyzing or looking back. There may or may not be anything to that. But yeah, I grew up with a strong, profound love of the game and the mental side of the game as a kid in San Diego. I was a diehard Padre fan, even though the Padres were pretty bad growing up most of my childhood. That's a fun question to reflect on. But ever since I was a little kid, I knew I wanted to play ball in front of thousands of people and make movies about baseball. And kind of funny, that's what I'm doing all
Oh
these
my
years later.
God. Like the fact that you knew all of that before you entered high school is insane because me and my brother played baseball growing up. He's still playing. I quit when I was like 10 years old. But we were both growing up, we didn't even learn that stuff until about maybe eighth grade, early high school. Like we didn't even learn that. I mean, we grew up with a lot of baseball growing up, basically living at a baseball field. But we didn't learn that unless like we're just sitting on in front of the TV and just watching maybe a Phillies game or something, wherever it's on TV. But how do you feel about the Padres this year, though? I have to ask now, since you're a diehard Padres fan. How do you feel about them this year or this
I
past?
I was at NLDS Game 3 against the Dodgers. My good friend Fernando Tatis Jr. promptly launched a 0-2 ball over the left field second deck moments after I looked to my father and predicted it in a 6-run third inning. It was electric. Petco Park was screaming, bumping. I could feel the vibrations of the stadium coming through my feet. And then the Padres forgot how to hit for the next 2.5 games. So it was one of the most exciting seasons they've ever had as a fan. It was like every night was a blast to just sit down, have some dinner, watch the recap of the game in 30 minutes or 20 minutes, if not the whole game. It became something to look forward to. They were a fun group, good manager. All the issues from last year's superstar team with Soto seemed to be gone. They were a clutch team, a team that you knew was going to rally late. an exciting team, a fun team to watch, a badass team despite injuries. No matter what, they were just constantly winning 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, no matter who they played. And so it felt like it was the year. And if you ask a lot of us, my fellow San Diegans and diehard Padre fans that have been through it, believe me, we're a loyal fan base, but we've been through it. Um, it definitely felt like the year. 2022, they got close, but it never really felt like it. 2023, from opening day, it never felt right, and they never quite gelled. And even with the superstar roster, it's just it wasn't it. But this year, it felt like the year to everyone. And ever since we got Tatis and we knew we had the number one prospect in the game, and then he came to the league and became what he became, there's kind of just been this ring in the air where it's like, we got a window. San Diego has a window to win the whole thing. And it felt like this was like that main year. Dodgers were hurt, banged up. Yankees weren't the strongest. Astros weren't the strongest. The Braves were banged up. The Phillies fell apart late. The Mets weren't really an intimidating opponent. Like this was the year for San Diego to cruise to the World Series.
Mm.
I was more worried about Cleveland getting there and beating them than the Yankees. And it would have been so poetic, knock off the Dodgers and then go get revenge against the Yankees, who beat the Padres, who swept the Padres last time the Padres made it to the World Series in '98.
Mm.
So it had all the makings to be a really fascinating, full circle October for San Diego and Padre fans, but not to be. So how do I feel about it? Everything I just said, all that great stuff, but at the end of the day, this group went 27 innings, something like that, without scoring in the most important time of the year. They had LA, they had their hands around their throats. They just couldn't finish the job. So kind of sad, especially the way it happened, but they got a lot to be excited about, a lot of young talent. They got a lot of stars locked in on long-term contracts. Some of them are pretty team friendly. So I do think the Padres will win a World Series in the 2020s in this decade, sometime in the next 5 years. But this was one of those years that made me say, man, I'm not going to a game again until they're at least this far in the playoffs again. Like, I don't even want to go to a game next year. I'm so upset. On that note, I will be going to 3 games just because my father and I have 3 stadiums left, and then we've seen all 30 MLB stadiums together. It was a cool
Jealous.
father-son baseball thing. So we got 3 Padre games we'll have to endure. But no, I love them. I got a Padres tattoo right here. I've been a high baseball IQ, long-term loyal fan for years and years and years now, and I still remember games at Qualcomm Stadium in Mission Valley and the Tony Gwynn, Ricky Henderson, Ryan Klesko era, then the Jake Peavy and Khalil Green era. Yeah, I'm a diehard Padre fan, but this was rough. So thanks for bringing that back up.
So this
It
might
wasn't part of
hurt
the script.
this might hurt you a little bit, but as a diehard Dodger fan, it was honestly great to see. So
Thanks.
I've been a Dodger fan for years, but watching that series was like surprising, but also like not expected. Because I thought it was going to be like a game 7 type of situation. Because the Yankees and the Padres were probably the biggest like series they were gonna play, and what I was nervous for the most was the Yankees and the Padres. And when they kind of like won odd games, only one Padres only won one like 1 or 2 games, I'm just like the Padres are one of the best teams in baseball. The Dodgers pitching is not the best. Everyone's hurt right now. And like I didn't expect to be that close at all. Like as much as I love the diehard Dodgers and a diehard fan, I didn't expect it to be the way it did like during that series as it went. Like as much as I hate the Padres, I thought they were gonna go to World Series more than the Dodgers were this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I think the first 3 games of the series was what everyone was expecting. And then, in a very bizarre way, the Padres just completely choked and literally forgot how to hit the last 2 games. And that's why it's hard for me to be all that excited and optimistic. Is like, okay, let's say you level up and go sign, a Christian Walker or whatever. You bring in one more big bat, and the lineup gets even better, and you go back to the playoffs. Like, what's stopping you from getting to Game 6 of the World Series and then just forgetting how to hit the baseball again? Like, that was one of the weirdest chokes I've ever seen, top to bottom, the whole lineup, the batting champ, the superstar, the MVP, like all of them forgot. And
It can't
you
be worse
compare
than
these.
the Yankees
Okay,
series
let me
in
ask
the
you
World
this.
Series. So they
Oh
like
yeah, that's true.
barely
That's
they
true.
kind of hit, but they only won one game. Like
They
that's
choked that
that's
series
much
too.
worse.
They were different types of chokes. The Padres choked because the Padres choke was different because they just couldn't put their foot on the pedal and finish the job. They had the Dodgers beat. It was just those last two games that they collapsed. The Yankees kind of collapsed the whole series, especially that last game. But let me ask you this. I've heard some conspiracies that MLB, this is hilarious to me. I don't believe these. I'm not being a sore loser, but they are interesting because the Padres did have like 4 flyouts to the wall. That MLB wanted their Los Angeles, New York World Series so bad they were siphoning in dead balls like from a couple years ago. Remember the dead
Mhm.
balls all the
Yeah.
players are complaining about? They were siphoning those into the innings where the Padres were coming up to bat.
Really? Like I don't think that's
That's what
happening.
I've heard. I've
As
heard
much
it.
as I wanted a New York World Series, I kind of wanted to see that happen, but I don't think
This
those.
makes sense. Like they wanted it. Otani, Judge, New York, LA. They definitely got the market series they wanted, but whether that was orchestrated or not, I like to preserve the part of my brain open to conspiracies for other things than silly
Yeah, I
baseball stuff like
know.
this. But yeah, moving on from the Padres, please.
All right. All right, before we get a little deep dive and angry with this whole World Series thing. So, for On Deck, that is a new thing that you're working on. So, what inspired you to create this project and what can we expect from it?
Cool, good question. On Deck is a TV series now turned feature film. It's a movie. We've transitioned it from a TV show to a film, um, based on. Well, it's an interesting question, but to summarize it for this audience, On Deck is a film, a baseball themed film, kind of similar to the genre of Entourage or Ballers, about a trio of players collision course to fulfilling their dreams and making it to the major leagues. Some make it, some don't. But just like in real life, the journey is the destination, and a big part of what the main character figures out and goes through is something that I believe most athletes can relate to, which is who am I without this sport? All of us get done playing at a certain point in our life and career, and that playing, that preparing, that training, it's all part of our identity. And not having that sense of purpose once you're done playing can make you feel lost or sad. And the way we need to find ourselves in life when that happened, this character needs to find himself with and without the sport. And all of us have a sport, a love, a passion, and all of us need to say goodbye at some point. And that's kind of what On Deck is about. It's about healing through baseball more so than it is about baseball. But having that said, it's very fun, flashy, gritty show. It highlights the grind and the sacrifices that a lot of these minor leaguers make. A lot of people see Mookie Betts and Shohei and Fernando Tatis and the stars and the bling and the limos and the dreads and the jewelry and the red carpets and the $1 million contracts. But most people don't see the 99% of the minor leaguers playing for $1,200 a month, driving an Uber and working on barns and as bartenders and stuff like that on the side. And we don't dive too much into that, but we dive into the hustle and the journey and the sacrifices and the grind and the grit and the authenticity of that life and that lifestyle and what some guys got to do to survive. And that's what the show's about
Oh my
at its.
gosh. I checked out a little bit of the series and it was really amazing. I worked for minor league baseball a little bit last year. Not a lot of minor leaguers make a lot of money as major leaguers. I think that's widely known throughout the baseball world is they don't make as much money as major leaguers, depending you because a lot of minor leaguers go up and down between the major leagues and minors. So even if they go up and down, they're still barely making any money per month or per week. And
Mhm.
with that, a lot of like you said, a lot of minor leaguers are probably have like a side job during the off season or away games or home games, so they can make an extra buck to make a living, even though they make probably a couple $1,000s each month for baseball.
It's really time consuming too. I don't think most guys can make a part-time job during the season work, but maybe. I mean, you're there, you're working, you see it. But yeah, all these guys are working in the off season, and that's what part of this is. There's a tech element to the show that's borderline sci-fi and futuristic. There is a black market element. I keep calling it a show. It's now a film. The producing team and I, we've transitioned this to a film. It seems like there's more potency in the market right now to still have the creative and financial control to create a film and sell it, whereas a TV show requires a studio to be involved with a major financial commitment before you even get started. We have enough tools and enough resources to make this on our own, so that's what we're going to do.
Like, so I saw something. I want your opinion on it. So was Fernando Tatis in this, like in a
Yeah.
short film,
Mhm.
or
My boy, when this was an episodic thing, he was in 3 episodes. Um, Now I guess he's just in the movie, but yeah, he plays himself. There's a scene where the player's kind of down and out and needs a inspirational talking to, and it's also a business meeting on a different front on the on one of the subplots of the story. And he serves a few purposes beyond just a cool, flashy cameo. He drives the story forward, so it's a really cool cameo.
and to get a little
He's a good
in-depth
actor,
life,
by the
I
way.
mean, that's a good win-win for you both as a diehard Padres fan. I mean, to get one of the best players in baseball, I mean, it's a
The
win-win.
cool part is he wasn't when we shot that. He
Oh,
was
he
rookie.
wasn't?
Not yet. I just had a feeling like this guy's about to blow up and be really good. So we got him, we shot with him, and then he blows up. And just a few months later, he's winning all these awards, $340 million contract, the cover of these magazines, the cover of ESPN, the cover of MLB The Show, the video game. He just blew up. And our show definitely piggybacked a little bit off that ride and soaring into the spotlight. And we've also at this point ridden some darker times with him. But he's the man, and he didn't even let me pay for his Uber. I tried to pay him to be in the show. Just wanted to support what I was building and be a part of it, and it's led to a really cool, healthy friendship that I cherish since then.
He is really down to earth guy. As much as
Very
I
mellow.
like the
People
Padres,
shock.
and I hate to admit it, like he's someone that I do respect as much as I don't like the Padres. He's someone that I think is going to probably make the Hall of Fame one day, as much as he's
Hopefully.
really good.
Yeah, if we can keep him on the field, that's definitely the plan. I mean, he's got all the tools to do it, but it's a grind, man. It's 160 days in a row with very few off days. So it's like 180 days in a row. And preseason, postseason, like they're humans too. I went to a game one time and he just looked mentally and physically and emotionally drained. And
Mm.
that was kind of the vibe I got from him when we talked after the game. So even when you're making millions of dollars playing on the nicest fields, it's like some days you just want to be at home with your dog or on the couch with a movie. It's human, but yeah, it's still a pretty cool job to have. And to be privy to some of the insider stuff has been both cool for the inner child and fan within me, as well as someone creating what I want to be very authentic content about that stuff. So
No, exactly.
on deck's been a really cool ride, and I don't know where it's going to come out quite yet. We're going to shoot it, we're going to sell it. Could be Netflix, could be HBO, could be a national TV network, and then a streaming service. Could be box office in theaters, but On Deck will get made and get done and get sold and released in the near future.
Awesome. So going to a little bit of On Deck. So how does On Deck kind of blend your love for baseball with passion for storytelling? I know you kind of dived into this a bit ago, but how does kind of blend both of baseball and storytelling for you?
There's definitely elements of my life that I took both happy and glorious and painful and depressing and messy, and um, there's also elements from other guys' stories that I've played with or heard about or seen or read about or experienced or picked up from TV broadcasts of the ball games along the way. Some of these announcers, shout out to Mark Grant, Mudcat, Don, San Diego, that tell amazing stories that you pick up stuff from. But just a life in and around baseball, being a observant high baseball IQ guy, there's all kinds of elements here. But I would say the most important thing on that theme is just honoring and respecting the game and telling these stories in an authentic way. I worked on several baseball films, shows, commercials, and something that drives me crazy. It's driven me crazy since I was a kid watching Air Bud is the silly mistakes that Hollywood makes when it comes to baseball. It's so often incorrect. And it could be something as small as the scoreboard saying that a guy has more home runs than he has RBIs on the season, but just small, stupid little mistakes like that suck the baseball player out of it. And it kind of snaps that suspense of disbelief. And there's millions of baseball fans, moms, girlfriends, coaches, players, brothers. There's just millions of baseball people in the country. It's a huge target audience.
Hmm.
And when you kind of snap them out of it, they kind of get sucked out of what they're watching. And it could be something that small that destroys that sense of belief for a fan or a viewer. And to be very specific and diligent with everything we do, with the show being very baseball accurate and authentic, I think is a huge factor here. And if you just forget about general population and millions of those people, if you just take care of the few million baseball fans in the country and they watch your project and
Hmm.
you do right by them, word of mouth will self-market this. Other people will go watch it, because there's a good story at the core of it. As long as that's good, you'll probably have the general population audience as long as this is marketed right. But those few million baseball people, there's no reason all of them wouldn't want to watch this if you do a good job creating it.
I know. Well, everyone
That's the main
wants to
target audience.
watch something that is based off a true story and to learn. That's what I found is more popular in the baseball world. Is that whenever there's a situation, maybe a team winning the World Series or a documentary about a baseball player won all-time grades or something, everyone wants to watch that, and everyone, especially
People are
like
hungry for baseball content. You're right.
everyone just wants baseball content, like base in true baseball content.
I agree.
So
That's part of
before
it. I mean,
we
I kind of made this because I wanted to watch it. It was, what do
Mhm.
I want to watch? What I want to watch doesn't quite exist. All right, so let's go make it. I'm a Pisces. I'm a
Let's
dreamer.
make something
If I
that I
knew,
would actually watch and see more of.
that was the goal. Yeah.
So before we wrap up, so I wanted to dive into the Savannah Bananas. So a lot of people know you from being now with the Firefighters, but in the whole Savannah Banana type of league. So what's your favorite memory from your time with them so far?
I would say my favorite memory with them was it's hard to just pick one. There are a few that come to mind, but overall the best parts of it were the bus rides. I loved the long road trips along the East Coast with the boys and the fans, just the fans in general. I love certain parts of it. It's fun. I don't fully understand the entire marketing. I have a pretty strong understanding at the core of what I think built such a strong fan base and following and desire to see this and go attend, and how so many people want to spend money to go to these games is crazy to me. It
I will be that person actually. I'm actually one of those people. I've never
So
been
I
to
would
a game,
at
but
the end of
I
this,
will be that
yeah,
person that spend that money.
I would love to turn around and then ask you what about it makes you want to go to that. But for me, it's the road trips and the bus rides with the boys and the overall fan experience. Those sold out stadiums, nothing can beat that. And just engaging with them before, during, and after the games, on the freeways, on the bus rides, when we stop at Bucky's or wherever along the coast, or the gas stations, just anywhere you go, stopping to sign pictures and autographs. So thank you to any fan who asked for my autograph at any point. That was a childhood dream and experience that I got to kind of fulfill and live out in a way. And Banana Ball gives you a small, very small, keep it within reality. Some of those guys actually think, hey, we're famous. No, chill. But it gives you a very small taste of fame, a very,
Hmm.
very small dose of it. And for someone who works in Hollywood, where a lot of people kind of just assume everyone's looking for fame, um, no, thank you. Like, I had my dose, never again. I'm good. I'm big on privacy, anonymity. Not everyone needs to know what I had for lunch every day. Like,
I
certain
don't
parts of
blame you. I'm
social
the same
media
exact way.
blows, certain parts of what people put on socials is crazy to me, but God bless them and I wish them the best. But yeah, I had my dose of it, and it was all cool. It was all amazing. I've always wanted to play at some of those fields, but that was probably the coolest part. Just
Like
the
as
commute.
much as I love what I do, being famous seems like it's too much work. Like I'd rather just have a private life
I
than
can't
having
imagine.
everyone know like what I
Man, we got off the bus one time. I can't remember what city we were in, and just a fan spot. We got off the bus and walked like 3 blocks, and some fan spotted us. None of us were even wearing our banana ball gear. and they posted us on their story and tagged us. And I think one of the guys had a beer in his hand or something, but you couldn't tell. The photo was blurry, but we were thinking, man, that is crazy. This dude can't even get off a 9-hour bus ride and just have a beer with his lunch without getting up on the internet.
Or just
And I
go
was
out and
telling
just
him,
walk or do something
that
while,
was it. We went on a walk to go grab a bite and stuff. So imagine that, but imagine actually being famous. Like imagine
you
being Johnny
know,
Depp or something like that, where you can't even to Travis Kelsey and Taylor Swift right now. You can't even go in public, like
it's a
without getting
hundred
killed.
times worse than like you think. I mean, to follow you everywhere you go would just drive me insane. Like to have like a moment of private
You
would
can't
be,
even be in disguise. Like I have no fame and I still wear sunglasses, hat, and a hoodie half the time I go to the theater just to feel like I'm hermetically sealed in like this little human submarine because it just feels nice to be solo. But to have that kind of attention on you, can't imagine. Not for
you
me.
know, it's
But
just
that's kind of what it was like during the
it's a lot
season.
of pressure.
You go anywhere in Savannah and people know who you guys are. Like you go to the gym, you go to grab a bite to eat. So just kind of got to be smart, be careful, try to be a role model all the time. But these are very, very small. I was going to say small problems to have. I don't even consider them a problem. They were just elements of it, parts of it that come to mind now that you asked me that. But
Yeah.
now we're
Could be much
now we're
worse.
rambling.
Let's
The
say
circle
that.
back,
Much worse.
the fans and the bus rides, those were the coolest parts.
Yeah.
But truthfully, those are kind of the coolest parts of every season. You have certain brotherhoods and connections you make with guys on the team every year, and certain gameplay memories come to mind. I mean, in Banana Ball, I think in-game memories will probably come to mind less just because you're not quite playing for a title or a championship. It's more so to entertain. So
Hmm.
whether you win or lose doesn't really matter. Um, but they're trying to fix that. We'll see how that goes. But
Must see next season. You know, who knows what's gonna happen with all that. Hopefully next year I'll catch a game, hopefully in Philadelphia or Allentown or something. Hopefully I'll catch you in one of these games.
hopefully
But
you have a blast.
it definitely will. It will. But thank you so much, Alex, for joining us today. I know we've been trying to do this for such a long time, but I'm so glad we were able to do this. I really appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. It was so lovely to chat with you and learn a lot about what you do. So it means so much.
Same, back at you. So, last question to wrap it up. What makes you, as a fan who likes baseball and enjoys going to MLB games as well, want to go to a Banana Ball game? Is it what you see on the TikToks? Is it just the overall like clout and excitement towards the energy of this entity and event? Is it just some of the hot players? Like, what is it specifically for you that makes you want to go, or is it just kind of all of the above?
So it's kind of all of above. Is I'm like I grew up in a baseball family, so going to a baseball game will actually be nice and see actual like a live sporting thing. But to actually kind of feel that energy, like as much as I hear people talk about going to games, I know a bunch of people that went to a Bananas game, Firefighters game, or whatever, and they said it was just an amazing experience to see kind of what's happening, kind of the entertainment they bring, the dances everyone does. And to see an actual game, as much as I love going to sporting events, especially baseball, it was great to see a new perspective on it, if that makes sense.
For sure. Yeah.
So
Have you heard of cosmic baseball, the glow in the dark?
it sounds familiar, actually. I feel like
I
that
think
sounds
that's
pretty
like the
familiar.
next big thing in entertainment sphere of baseball or just baseball in general, right? Because you're always going to have MLB and the minor leagues and the independent leagues, which are kind of two in the same, to one in the same. And then what's next, right? I think like the next best thing you got is college baseball and banana ball. So
Mhm.
there's room for more.
Hey,
Let's
there's
see.
always room for more. I mean, we'll
Yeah,
take it. As much as
there's
there's more baseball, I mean, we'll take it.
right, right. I'm kind of the same mindset. There's a new one called Jacked Baseball. I actually went and played their first game in Michigan this past fall, and it's like, do you remember the MLB video game Slugfest where the players could like
Yeah.
hit each other and everything? It's basically that in person. And there's
Oh,
also
God.
like it's literally a video game. The first three innings are regular baseball. The middle three innings are Super Mario baseball with like distractions on the field and like those roses that mess with you or like slippery zones and
Mhm.
uh, it's crazy obstacles. It's like Mario Kart but baseball for three innings. It's kind of cool.
Oh,
And then
I
the
should
last
check
three
it out.
innings are all offensive. So if like the pitcher walks someone, one of the position players has to go into the penalty box until they get an out. The balls are juiced, the bats are corked. It's like they just want as much offense as possible. So the game I played in was like 23-22 was the final
Oh my
score.
God. I have to check that out. I never heard of it. That seems so interesting.
And they had a lot of the stuff the Bananas had, like the pitcher on stilts, um, all kinds of like entertainment elements, dancing, home run derby, all kinds of stuff. Only difference I would say is that game was almost 4 hours, so they got to figure that part of it down, get the script down a bit more. And the banana ball games are too fast. Like 2 hours for a game, even when we go a whole 2 hours in banana ball, I'm like, man, the game just zooms by.
Yeah.
It
Because
hardly
the
feels
general
like a game. Like,
MLB game is like 3 hours, even the pitch clock.
right. And it's like you get there a little late or you leave a little early or whatever, but 3.5 hours, you feel like you got your money's worth. And I could do 2 hours and 50 plus starting lineups and all that, but the banana ball games are like an hour and 40 minutes. And I'm thinking, okay,
Wait,
yeah, we do
that
it on like,
short?
yeah, we played in a game this past year that was an hour 29. And they
Oh,
were like happy. It was something that got celebrated. They're trying to play quicker games. And I guess when you entertain the fans for like 30 to 60 minutes in a post-game party plaza, and then you also have a solid hour of entertainment pregame, 45 minutes at least, with some big intros and all that, I guess it feels like enough of a grand show that you're there for a solid 3 hours. But